Welcome back, basketball fans, to another massive deep dive episode where we dissect, analyze, and completely unpack the latest, most crucial developments surrounding our national basketball team, Gilas Pilipinas. Today, we have a monumental update that is sending shockwaves to the Philippine basketball community, an update that fundamentally alters the landscape of our preparations for the upcoming, highly anticipated FIBA window, where we will be facing off against two absolute powerhouses of the region, the formidable Australian Boomers and the relentlessly physical New Zealand Tall Blacks. We are looking at a situation of extreme duality right now in the Gilas training camp, a scenario that presents both a daunting challenge and a tremendous sigh of relief for the coaching staff, the players, and of course, the millions of passionate Filipino fans who follow every single dribble, pass, and pivot of this team. The news title we are breaking down today says it all. There are two sides emerging regarding the original Gilas Final 12 roster, with injuries threatening the very core of Coach Tim Cohn's carefully constructed lineup. Yet, amidst this uncertainty, a massive ray of hope has pierced through the anxiety. Our 7'3" prodigy, the cornerstone of our future front court, Kai Sado, has officially started 5-on-5 full contact practice, and the initial reports are nothing short of spectacular, indicating a truly solid, dominant performance on hardwood. This is not just a minor update. This is a paradigm shift in our FIBA campaign strategy. For months, we have talked about the sanctity of the Gilas Final 12. Coach Tim Cohn has been incredibly vocal, incredibly steadfast in his philosophy of keeping a tight, cohesive, and unchanging 12-man roster. He has modeled this approach after the legendary international programs that prioritize long-term chemistry, absolute systemic familiarity, and unbreakable trust over simply grabbing the hottest player of the month. The original 12-man roster was meant to be a brotherhood, a unit that would go through the fires of the qualifiers together, learn each other's tendencies perfectly, and build a collective basketball IQ that could rival the European and oceanic giants. But the harsh, unforgiving reality of professional basketball has reared its ugly head. Injuries, the great equalizer in sports, have compromised this master plan. We are receiving confirmed reports from inside the camp that two players from that original sacred 12-man lineup are currently highly questionable. They are, as the local reports say, Tajlid, uncertain, doubtful, and fighting against the clock and their own bodies to be medically cleared in time for these absolute dogfights against Australia and New Zealand. The identity of these players and severity of their knocks have created an atmosphere of tense anticipation. If they cannot suit up, it completely disrupts the chemistry. It forces the coaching staff into an incredibly difficult corner. Do they stubbornly stick to the 12 and play shorthanded against teams that will punish any sign of weakness? Or do they break their own golden rule, reach into the reserve pool, and bring in replacements who haven't had the same sheer volume of reps within the specific iteration of the triangle offense and defensive schemes? This is the massive dilemma hanging over the team right now. But just as the storm clouds of injury began to gather, the sun broke through in the form of Kai Sado. Let us fully grasp the magnitude of what it means that Kai is not just back on the floor, but back in full 5-on-5 unrestricted, high-intensity scrimmage situations. For weeks, the updates on Kai have been cautious. We knew he was dealing with physical setbacks. We watched him in the Japan B League, monitoring his minutes, holding our collective breath every time he landed awkwardly or contested a heavy drive. The fear was palpable that we might have to face the towering front lines of the Boomers and the Tall Blacks without our primary rim protector, without our absolute best post-up threat, and without the sheer gravitational pull that Kai provides on the offensive end. When Kai Sado is on the floor, the geometry of the game changes. Defenses have to collapse. Passing lanes open up for our shooters like Justin Brownlee, Dwight Ramos, and Calvin Oftana. June Mar-Fajardo gets to play a more natural, less physically exhausting role when he can share the burden of battling 7-footers in the paint. So, the news that Kai has not only been cleared for full contact, but is actively dominating in 5-on-5 practice is monumental. Reports are stating he is showing a solid performance. In basketball parlance, especially coming off a rehab period, solid means he is not favoring the injury. It means his wind is back. It means his timing for shot blocking, which is a highly delicate rhythm-based skill, is sharp. It means he is setting solid screens, rolling hard to basket, and finishing through contact. It means the kaiju is ready to be unleashed. This duality, the anxiety of losing two core players versus euphoria of regaining our foundational big man, sets the stage for one of the most compelling stretches in recent Gilas history. We are looking at a team that is simultaneously wounded and reinforced. The coaching staff is working overtime, analyzing medical reports on one end of the table and drawing up lob plays for Kai on the other. The dynamic of the team is shifting in real time. The players who are healthy are having to step up their vocal leadership, knowing that the rotation might look vastly different than what they practiced a month ago. The potential absence of two rotation pieces means that guys who were expecting 10 to 15 minutes a game might suddenly be thrust into 25-minute roles against some of the most unforgiving, high IQ basketball players on the planet. The Australian Boomers do not care if you're injured. The New Zealand Tall Blacks will not show mercy if your rotation is thin. They play a brand of physical, relentless, fundamentally sound basketball that exploits the slightest lack of cohesion. If our defensive rotations are even half a second slow because a replacement player missed a read, they will swing the ball and hit the open three. If our weak side rebounding is compromised because we are missing a key forward, they will secure the offensive board and punish us with second chance points. This is why Kai Sato's return is the ultimate counterweight to the bad news. His mere presence covers up so many potential mistakes on the perimeter. If a guard gets beaten off the dribble, they have the ultimate safety net waiting in the paint. Kai's ability to alter shots without fouling is going to be the most critical defensive metric for Gilas in these upcoming games. Furthermore, his synergy with the point guards, particularly in the pick and roll and pick and pop situations, provides Coach Cohn with a reliable, high-percentage release valve when the offense gets bogged down by aggressive oceanic perimeter defense. We have to understand that this news is not just a footnote. It is the entire narrative heading into this window. The success or failure of Gilas Pilipinas in these next two games will hinge entirely on how they navigate the absence of those two injured players and how quickly they can fully integrate a 100% healthy, highly motivated Kai Sado back into the epicenter of their attack. We are about to witness a true test of this program's resilience, depth, and tactical adaptability. Let us plunge deeper into the first major component of this breaking news: the terrifying prospect of losing two players from the original Gilas Final 12. To truly appreciate the gravity of this, we must first understand the philosophy behind this roster construction. For decades, the Philippine national team program operated on a revolving door policy. We would form a pool of 20 or 30 players, hold a few weeks of grueling practices, and then make heart-wrenching cuts right before a tournament. It created a highly competitive environment, yes, but it completely sacrificed long-term chemistry. Players were constantly looking over their shoulders, unsure of their roles, unsure if they would even be on the flight. Coach Tim Cohn, heavily influenced by the sustained success of programs like Spain, Argentina, and Serbia, decided to implement a radical change. He selected 12 men. Not 20, not 15. 12. The message was clear. This is the team. You are our guys. We will ride or die with this core. This approach was designed to build unbreakable trust. When you know the guy next to you is going to be there for the next 4 years, you invest time in understanding exactly where he likes the ball on a fast break, exactly how he hedges on a screen, and exactly what his emotional triggers are during a high-pressure game. The original Final 12 was a meticulously balanced equation of size, shooting, playmaking, and defensive versatility. It had the veteran savviness of guys like June Fajardo and Japeth Aguilar, the primetime scoring of Justin Brownlee, the steady two-way play of Dwight Ramos and Scotty Thompson, and the youthful exuberance of the next generation. It was a perfect puzzle. Now, take two pieces out of that puzzle. Suddenly, the picture is distorted. The entire structure becomes unstable. When reports say two players are tageted, we are looking at a massive disruption in the rotation. If it is a guard that goes down, the ball-handling duties become infinitely heavier for the remaining backcourt. Against a team like Australia, which employs terrifying full-court pressure and traps, having one less reliable ball handler is a recipe for catastrophic turnovers. If the injury is to a wing player, we lose crucial perimeter defense and floor spacing. We lose a body to throw at the big, athletic wings that New Zealand possesses. And if it is a frontcourt player, the burden on Fajardo, Edu, and Sado becomes physically exhausting. Basketball at the FIBA level is a marathon of sprints. The physicality is bruising. You need bodies simply to absorb the contact and commit strategic fouls. Losing 2 players is not just about losing their statistical averages. It is about losing the minutes they eat up, the fouls they can give, and the specific situational roles they execute. This forces a coaching staff into the ultimate philosophical debate. Do they call up reserves? We have players waiting in the wings. Phenomenal talents who would be starters on almost any other team in Asia. But dropping a new player into a highly complex system just days before a major international window is incredibly risky. The triangle offense, which forms the bedrock of Coach Cohn's system, requires precise spacing, perfect timing, and instantaneous read and react decision-making. It is not something you learn in a weekend. A reserve player, no matter how talented, might run to the wrong spot, clogging the driving lane for Brownlee, or miss a defensive rotation, giving up an easy layup. The alternative is playing with a 10-man rotation. In a grueling, physical game, a 10-man rotation means your core players will have to play upwards of 30 to 35 minutes. Fatigue will set in. When fatigue sets in, jump shots fall short, closeouts become lazy, and mental errors multiply. This is the agonizing reality the Gilas Brain Trust is currently wrestling with behind closed doors. They are watching practice film, consulted with medical staff, and trying to calculate the exact threshold of pain and risk these injured players can endure. Now, let us seamlessly transition to the other side of the coin, the magnificent news that counterbalances this dread. Kai Sotto's return to 5-on-5 practice. We cannot overstate how critical this is. Let us break down what a solid performance in 5-on-5 actually means for a player Kai's magnitude. When a player returns from injury, there is a progression. First, it is individual drills, just shooting and running with no defense. Then it is 1-on-1 or 3-on-3 half-court, controlled environments. But full 5-on-5 practice is the crucible. It is chaotic, it is unpredictable, and it is the closest simulation to an actual game. For Kai to step into that environment and perform solidly means he has cleared the massive mental hurdle that often accompanies physical rehabilitation. When you injure a lower extremity, there's always a lingering, subconscious hesitation to explode off that leg, to land in traffic, or to battle for a rebound against heavily built opponents. A solid performance indicates that Kai trusts his body again. He is not second-guessing his movements. This is terrifying news for Australia and New Zealand. Let us analyze the tactical advantage of a healthy Kai Sado. At 7'3" with a soft touch, high basketball IQ, and vastly improved physical strength from his stint in the B League, Kai is a mismatch nightmare. He is no longer just a tall kid. He is a legitimate international caliber center. Offensively, he gives Gilas a dimension that very few teams in the world can replicate, an elite high-low game. Imagine the defense trying to deal with June Fajardo, sealing his man in the deep post, while Kai Sado operates at the high post, ready to thread a pinpoint pass or knock down the mid-range jumper if the defense sags off. It is a mathematical impossibility for an opposing defense to cover both effectively without giving up wide-open three-pointers to our shooters. Defensively, Kai is the ultimate eraser. FIBA basketball heavily emphasizes guard penetration and kickouts. The boomers, in particular, run intricate pick-and-roll actions designed to force defensive switches and get their guards driving downhill into the paint. With Kai Sado anchoring the defense, those driving lanes disappear. Guards second-guess their layups. They are forced to alter their shot trajectories, which dramatically lowers their shooting percentages. Even if Kai does not block the shot, his sheer wingspan acts as a psychological deterrent. This allows our perimeter defenders to play much more aggressively. They can press up on the ball handlers, jump into passing lanes, and take calculated risks, knowing that if they get beaten, they have a 7'3" safety net waiting at the rim. Furthermore, Kai's ability to run the floor is an underrated aspect of his game. For a man of his size, his fluid mobility is astounding. Gilas Pilipinas has always thrived on transition basketball. We love to get out and run. Having a center who can secure a defensive rebound, outlet the ball perfectly, and then trail the play to finish with thunderous dunk or a smooth trail three-pointer adds a devastating layer to our fast break. His return solidifies our identity. It confirms that we are not just a small, scrappy team relying on outside shooting. With Kai, we have the sheer size and physical imposing presence to stand toe-to-toe with the titans of world basketball. We are no longer just hoping for an upset. We are marching into the arena fully equipped to dictate the terms of engagement. This perfectly encapsulates the duality of the current Gilas situation. We are wounded. Yes, losing 2 key rotation players is a bitter pill to swallow and will demand absolute perfection from the remaining roster. The margin for error has shrunk drastically, but the return of Kai Sado at full strength is a massive, game-changing injection of talent, size, and morale. It means the coaching staff can still run their primary sets. It means the defensive anchor is in place. It means the spirit of the team, seeing their young giant back on the floor dominating, will be at an all-time high. The narrative has shifted from how we survive these injuries to how do we maximize Kai's return to cover for what we've lost. It is a fascinating tactical chess match, and Coach Tim Cone is the ultimate grandmaster navigating this complex scenario. As we wrap up this extensive, comprehensive breakdown of the current state of Gilas Pilipinas, we are left with a profound sense of anticipation. The news we have dissected today, the heartbreaking uncertainty surrounding 2 of our core players, and the incredibly uplifting return of our franchise center, Kai Sado, to full 5-on-5 dominance, perfectly encapsulates the beautiful, agonizing, and entirely unpredictable journey of supporting the Philippine national basketball team. We are a nation that lives and breathes basketball. We analyze every possession. We debate every coaching decision. And we feel every victory and defeat deep in our bones. This current situation, this delicate balancing act between managing injuries and integrating a superstar, is exactly the kind of drama that makes international basketball so incredibly compelling. We have to recognize the immense pressure resting on the shoulders of the players who are fully healthy. The guys who are stepping onto that practice court today know that the expectations have not changed. The standard remains excellence. Whether we are fielding our absolute dream team or a roster battered by injuries, the mandate from the millions of fans watching at home is always the same. Laban Pilipinas. Fight with everything you have. Leave it all on the floor. If the rotation is shortened, the remaining players will simply have to dig deeper, find reserves of stamina they didn't know they had, and execute the game plan with cold, calculated precision. They will be playing not just for their country, but for the brothers who might not be able to suit up beside them. There's a unique power in a wounded team that rallies together. When your back is against the wall, when the odds seem to be tilting out of your favor, that is often when the most legendary performances are born. And then there is Kai, the prodigy, the hope of Philippine basketball. To see him back on the floor, moving fluidly, banging bodies in paint, and impose his will during scrimmages is the absolute best news we could have asked for. He carries the weight of a basketball-crazed nation on his broad shoulders, and he does it with a quiet, steely determination. His performance in these upcoming games against Australia and New Zealand will be heavily scrutinized, but if these practice reports are any indication, the Kaiju is ready to unleash a brand of basketball we have been eagerly waiting to see on the senior international stage. His presence alone elevates our ceiling. It transforms us from an underdog hoping for a lucky shooting night into a legitimate, terrifying force that demands absolute respect from any opponent in the world. So, as we count down the days to tip-off, the questions remain massive. Who will step up if those 2 players are officially ruled out? How will Coach Tim Cone adjust his vaunted rotation? And just how dominant can Kai Sado be against the rugged, unforgiving front lines of the Boomers and the Tall Blacks? We will be watching every single development, analyzing every piece of footage, and bringing you the absolute best, most detailed coverage right here.